My current research project is to integrate the school climate surveys within the National PBIS website. The purpose of this is to be able to examine the relationship between PBIS and school climate. We know that a lot of research supports that PBIS has a positive impact on school climate, and so we're now integrating school climate surveys to be able to examine PBIS traditional outcome data such as discipline referrals, suspensions, with school climate data at the student, teacher, and parent level. PBIS is important because it helps teachers in schools and systems implement positive behaviors and promote pro-social behaviors for students, which we know has a positive impact on student outcomes. A lot of research supports that a positive school climate is related to positive student outcomes in terms of academics, less engagement in risky behaviors, and graduation. I think that it's important to be able to examine it from multiple perspectives so that we can identify similarities and differences in those perspectives. I've worked with the Georgia State Department of Education to develop and evaluate a series of school climate surveys. That includes an elementary school climate survey, a secondary school climate survey for students in grades 6 through 12, a personnel school climate survey, and a parent school climate survey. We started this project in 2009, and we initially started with one brief school climate survey for middle and high school students. Along with the No Child Left Behind waiver that Georgia received in 2012, we started to examine the impact of school climate on related outcomes, including achievement. From there, we decided to develop a series of assessments that teachers could use. And Georgia now has a school climate star rating in which they provide feedback to schools on student, teacher, and personnel school climate surveys. Teachers, students, and parents should be able to have a valid and reliable measure if they're going to be held accountable for outcomes. A lot of the initiatives on school improvement have focused on academic improvement methods for students. But what we now find is that school climate has a huge impact on academic outcomes for students. I believe strongly that perceptions drive student behavior. And so in order to understand how students are performing academically, behaviorally, social-emotionally, we have to be able to understand how they perceive the school climate. Do they feel connected to teachers? Do they feel that there's a peer that they can talk to? Do they feel that the academic environment supports them? Do they feel safe in school? All of these variables, a part of school climate, are important in driving interventions for students. I think it's important to understand the multicultural context in which students develop. One paper that I focused on was the cultural ecological model of school climate. This is significant because as our student population becomes increasingly diverse, we have to be more aware of the context in which students reside. From an ecological perspective, this includes understanding the community, the family, the school, and individual factors that have an impact on student outcomes. This also includes recognizing that individuals have a great impact on their educational environment. Factors such as student temperament, gender, socioeconomic status, and grade have an impact on how students are able to access, perceive, and respond to the educational environment. Further, it's also important to understand the context in which students learn so that resources can be targeted to support student needs and to maintain positive school climates. Part of my current research also focuses on analyzing the impact of preschool on early literacy, math, language, and social skills for kindergarten students. Within the current educational context, we're constantly evaluating the effect of early access to education on student outcomes. Thus, this study comes at a very timely moment in education where we're able to examine whether or not the impact of preschool on early literacy, math, language arts, and social skills is significant for students who have attended preschool, particularly for students from low socioeconomic status backgrounds. My future plans are to move forward with the school climate research. A lot of my focus has been on understanding school climate and the impact that it has on student outcomes. Within a cultural context, it's important to examine school climate using valid and reliable measures. While that's been the focus of research up to this point, moving forward, we really want to examine how those surveys can help to drive practical interventions for schools to drive school improvement efforts.